Quality of life improvements. Really hope Saber addresses some of these, but knowing that their focus is on Space Marine 3, I'd settle for these issues at least not showing up in that game. Okay, that's... okay. Holy cow. Okay, we started this one off pretty hot. Knowing that their focus is on Space Marine 3, I really don't think... I think it's like half and half at this point. And not to mention, Space Marine 2 is the building block to Space Marine 3. Like, a lot of what is in Space Marine 2 is going to be in Space Marine 3. But, okay. I'd settle for these issues at least not showing up. Interesting. So they have a list of issues here, quality of life improvements. So I'm definitely going to read through these. Considering they started it, you know, I think, look, maybe they're just honestly concerned. But for whatever reason, whenever I see somebody like, oh, I know they're just working on Space Marine 3, I feel like they're kind of downplaying exactly what they're able to pull off. And honestly, they wouldn't have introduced a year 2 pass if they didn't think they could do it. And yeah, of course, everything in Space Marine 2 is probably going to go over to Space Marine 3, and a lot of improvements will be hitting Space Marine 3. So, okay, fine. These are some improvements we need for Space Marine 3. Let's see what they have listed here. Krak grenades need to stop tracking minorous enemies that leap in front of you in the middle of a fight. There's no way to anticipate this and makes Krak grenades easily the worst of the 4 types. What? Oh my god. Yo, okay, so this is a quality of life. This is a quality of life list that is turning into hot takes. No! Krak grenades are probably the second best grenades in the game right now. Dude, throw a Krak grenade at a Neurothrope. Throw a Krak grenade at a, Carnifex in high difficulties. It's insanely good. Honestly, when it comes to hitting, Gaunts, I'm also a victim of this. I have hit Gaunts before, and normally it's because I'm trying to rush out the Krak grenade. Sometimes in this game, just rolling away is the best option just to kind of, reposition and find a different way to approach whatever priority target you are trying to take out. But yeah, when it comes to Krak grenades, sometimes I'll just turn around and throw it, and yes, of course it hits a Gaunt in that case. But at least I acknowledge, like, I'm making a mistake there, and honestly, I'll do it again. But okay, let's continue. Chaos regular Tzaangors should be executionable. Oh, we talked about this. Yeah, this is actually a good take. And I mean, fair when it comes to Space Marine 3. I think this is something they could pull off in this game. But when it comes to Chaos, I think I'm just starting to get accustomed to just, headshotting the Tzaangors for the most part. But yeah, honestly, you don't even need to explain yourself on that one. That's pretty much what is happening with that is the fact that Tzaangors are giving us less armor in that sense. And honestly, dude, I don't like the way Tzaangors are moving, man. Sometimes Tzaangors, when you just look at them, won't do anything. As soon as you press an input to anything, they'll jump at you. So I don't know. I feel like Tzaangors are a little bit suspicious. But ultimately, still, as long as you understand their patterns, you can play around them. The grenade icons have to be changed. The amount of times I've seen players throw a Krak thinking it was a regular grenade. Oh, because, yeah, obviously, yeah, the icons on the, like, how many grenades you have. That's pretty much what they're getting at. I agree. I agree. What it's... Only in Siege mode have I seen this issue, though, to be completely honest, because you'll pick up a grenade, 5 waves go by, and you forgot what grenade you picked up. Interesting though. Definitely I mean, I guess if you ever wanted to check, you could just switch out with a quick grenade on the ground or something. But interesting, fair. No other Horde mode I've seen ever played has done this. It's bad design. Okay. I mean, I guess. Honestly, yeah, if you can't tell what grenades you have, that's fair. That's actually a fair criticism. Biovores need to be changed. They're obnoxious, tanky, and will straight up ignore your successful parries. What? I was just parrying. Dude, parrying Biovores is probably the best way to approach them. And perfect dodges during their melee cycle. These enemies will punish you for getting the combat loop right. That is not true. They are very tanky. What ends up happening with Biovores is they normally do like a 1-2 into the explosion, but sometimes they can just do the explosion. Biovores definitely have a little bit more freedom to like combo cancel themselves. But obviously, yeah, everyone hates Biovores. You should have just said Biovores need to be changed, and you don't really need to explain that one on, honestly. But when it comes to Biovores in Siege mode, it's very important to take them out. But like sometimes when you just keep taking out waves and there's like 4 Biovores and just like a handful of Gaunts, that's when it can be a little bit annoying. But yeah, you know, it depends. But yeah, ultimately, if you just let Biovores sit around and yeah, they start to group up, it can definitely ruin siege runs. Guns shooting from your midsection, particularly bolt sniper and LF, is extremely jarring and immersion breaking. If I have to line of sight on an enemy, then the bullet should hit its mark. Hip fire needs to be better on snipers? I mean, I guess. It's not really like a quality of the weapon I really look forward to using, though, to be completely honest. I've never really... honestly, even when you do the parry gun strikes into the sniper shot, you want to aim down the sight so you can immediately hit the head, and that's... honestly, it works pretty fast. Nah, I disagree on this one. I just think bolt snipers should be a bad hipfire weapon. Like, they're snipers. The tagging has to be refined. Regardless of what I'm actually aiming my crosshair at, the tagging is so basic that it'll just highlight whatever's closest to you. That's also not true. It's just the tagging, you really need to make sure you have the correct target underneath your crosshair. What happens in siege mode is a lot of enemies can jump in your way, and you don't really notice it, but you're like hitting the shoulder of an enemy that you think you're not hitting. Some of these criticisms are fair. Some of these seem to be a little bit more of a frustrated at the mechanic type situation. The attention moments are extremely obnoxious. Don't steal control away from my character. I should be able to tag things whenever I want. The attention moments. Oh, I see. Like at the end of wave 5, like the Biovore goes down, the Hive Tyrant, introduces itself. This is a nitpick. This is probably the most aggressive nitpick I've read on this list so far, but come on. like they just want to pull our focus away. I agree, sometimes it can be a little annoying in a battle, but that doesn't really happen that often. Or at all, really. I think, yeah, that's a nitpick. I'm not too concerned with them changing that. I think they will increase. I will agree that they will improve this though in Space Marine 3. I 100% bet you. I bet you all the just like the simple mechanics and the basically just the the base game is just going to improve overall across the board, like the UI and everything. But okay, that still like is not something I feel like I feel like the devs are just going to do this just by the nature of what a Space Marine 3 would be. Loadouts have 3. Yeah, anything, honestly, yeah, I don't even... Again, see, some of the criticism here is, like, a little bit, like, I'm not too on board with it, but then some of these are just, like, that's all you had to say. All you had to say was loadouts, and we already know. We already know. Yeah, 3 different menus to switch things, perks, weapons, what type of weapons. Yeah, at the very least, we need 3 more... no, sorry. Well, maybe even 3 more. We just need loadouts in this game. It's like whatever way you want to do that. Space Marine 3 100% needs loadouts. I 100% agree. Honestly, we need loadouts in this game, but like it's fine. it's fine for what we have now. Quick time event Lictor Ravener grabs are very boring and shouldn't be in the game. They are not boring. They're incredibly frustrating and rage-inducing. They don't even reward you for button mashing, which no one wants to do. I do agree. Button mashing is a little lame, but like ultimately, the grab mechanic itself is fine. It's one of those things that keeps you on your toes. Ultimately, the damage it does is a little insane, but damage across the board right now is a little insane, depending on what wave. Honestly, if you're just playing siege mode and going into wave 16, yeah, damage gets a little crazy. But I wouldn't call them boring. I would call them frustrating. And yeah, button mashing is tedious, so it has tedious elements. So you can essentially say, enemy grabs are tedious. That's fine. I wouldn't call them boring though, and if I was to improve them, I would just make sure because the nature of grabs, they're unblockable anyway, and then not to mention how fast they are, I wouldn't just straight up make it easier to break out of. But if you get caught and then you also are bad at breaking out of it, then you deserve the damage you get. You know what I mean? Lictors, Raveners, Zone Throps shouldn't get iframe moves that neutralize your crack grenades. What? Okay, hold on. This needs more explanation. This is incredibly immersion breaking if you stick one of the... Oh, like when they go underground. Which one is that for Zone Throps, though? Maybe the shields? I would admit, I would rather see the shields just be an overall damage resistance thing to like 99% damage resistance rather than just like a flat out iframe. I agree with that. Lictors, I don't really care about. Who's crack grenading a Lictor, bro? That's crazy. Raveners, yeah, I can kind of understand that. But then the iframes of what this person is talking about, definitely why I don't do that. Okay. Enemies getting all their health back and uninterruptible status in Enraged mode is very counterintuitive to the aggressive style of the game. Slows the game down a lot and makes you play super safe. This is bad design. Everything's just bad design. They should deal more damage but still be interruptible, so it feels like you actually have the ability to influence the enemy. Enraged targets are supposed to be a threat. Like, no, this sounds like you're trying to just nerf enraged targets. Even with the amount of damage they do in like wave 25 and everything, like they essentially one-shot you. I would say that even with that considered, I wouldn't want enraged targets nerfed. If anything for siege mode, I would like to see less enraged targets. However, the actual damage and the actual like properties of that mechanic is fine. Yeah, they have hyper armor and they're annoying, do a lot of damage. It's rough. It's rough, but regular majors are kind of free. So they definitely need some sort of buff. And honestly, if they just slows the game down a lot, kind of makes you play super safe. Yeah, you're supposed to play better. Makes you play super safe is one way to put it, but sorry, I don't see that as bad design. Some of this stuff is bad design and is probably like time crunch related or whatever, but some of the stuff I think this player is just unfortunately frustrated at. Give us the option to host our own public lot. Yeah, no, yeah, yeah, they're right about this one. As far as the hosting of public lobbies, the way you have to do it right now is actual bad design, where you basically queue up and then you have to run over to the square as quick as possible, the rectangle. So basically you pick a mission and then you have to go on the point to start the mission as quick as possible, and then you will be put into the host queue. I don't understand what the devs were thinking with this. I don't understand, like, honestly, when it comes down to like matchmaking, yeah, when it comes down to being a host, are people just like lucky to get hosts or sometimes? Like, I don't know, whatever. Honestly, this isn't that big of a deal for me at the moment, but that's fair. This is the most divided I've been on a list in a long time. Like, there's some stuff here that's like, oh yeah, that's true. That's something we haven't talked about in a long time. But then there's, you know, the getting mad at enraged targets. I've been mad at enraged targets recently, and I still don't even want to see them nerfed. Loadouts, yeah, they're right about that. The attention moments are extremely obnoxious, brother. Like, I don't think they're extremely obnoxious. That is hyperbole. Like, if anything, I would believe you if you say they're annoying. That's fair. Extremely obnoxious makes it sound like you have to stop whatever you're doing. Like, dude, you don't even need to press the button for the intention moment. You know what I mean? Holy cow. But yeah, there's some good stuff here. There's some bad stuff here. Yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this list, because this list is crazy. I don't agree with some positions in the list, but I appreciate another statement about the Biovore problem. It's just an incredibly terrible and inconvenient enemy for siege mode. It takes a lot of time to kill it. There's a risk of stupidly dying or wasting a medkit on this enemy. No other enemy in the game is as annoying as they are, and there can be many of them per wave, if we are talking about waves 11 through 15 in hard mode. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you've ever identified like how many Biovores you saw in one wave before. I think the highest I've seen has been like 4 or 5, something like that. If they can get higher than that, that's crazy. In operations, they're still bearable, but in siege mode, they introduce an imbalance. Solution regarding Biovores, as for me, either greatly reduce their HP, which makes them less of a tank, which I'm not too sure that would be a good nerf, plus makes them weaker in combat, or reduce the number of respawns per wave. Okay, yeah, I would probably do that. I would limit the amount of Biovores per wave. That's what I'd do, as far as siege mode goes. But yeah, I wouldn't nerf their health because they're supposed to be tanky. You know, their Biovores are supposed to be tanky. But yeah, I will admit though, Biovores can definitely be more annoying in siege mode than in operations, and I would probably take out their stuns regardless. That's probably how I do it. I wouldn't reduce their HP though. They're very predictable. Biovores, when you actually see them, and even if you see them sentryed, you really just want to get behind them, start hitting their gun a bit. They will jump up and then start to like slash at you. And they only have 2 attacks when it comes to slashes. Like they legit have the jump attack and then the 2-hitter. So when it comes to melee, they are pretty limited. And then they have the explosion that they can kind of like, you know, combo cancel. That can be a little bit annoying, but it is also extremely telegraphed and one of their slowest moves, probably their slowest move. So when it comes to Biovores, yeah, they're tanky. Yeah, they're annoying when they start to group up, and, you know, obviously you can't find them where they are. Yeah, for sure. I would probably limit the amount of Biovores that could be in one wave. I don't know how I would limit that though, maybe like 4 or 5, but I guess that really comes down to what people are experiencing. Crack grenades sticking the first things in front of you, don't throw it at anything who can jump on you. Simple. Okay, grenade icon, come on. There are differences, just look at it. I know you have to pay attention, remember what you pick up. Okay. No, I mean, as far as the grenade icon things, even I get confused, but like ultimately I'll just try to remember what I picked up last. But I actually never like took time to understand the icons. Like I couldn't tell them out of a list, but if you like labeled them and then like I would have to learn it basically. Biovores, shoot at the cannon when he's in burrow, shoot at the head when he's speedrunning. Simple also, yes, very simple, guys. You are shooting fences with sniper. Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's true. His his hip fire on the sniper's take is terrible. Like, I'm sorry. As someone who plays sniper, I don't want to hip fire. Maybe on the LF, but like the bolt sniper, nah, I'm good on that. That's pretty interesting though. Honestly, I don't want them to feel too bad about that either. It's an interesting idea, I do admit. But when it comes to sniper and hip fires, nothing is more annoying than seeing a sniper class in any game care about hip firing. It's like, bro, I'm trying to look through the sniper. I'm trying to snipe. You know what I mean? Jeez. Holy cow. Okay. You're shooting candles and tubes and chain hanging from cellars. Good devs made the game a little harder than average, and again, you have to pay attention. Last rifle beam is larger than a bolt bullet, so it makes sense to me having your sniper rifle bullet going through a lot of elements of the map is useless. I have no idea what they're trying to say here. You're shooting candles and tubes and chains hanging from cellars. What? Okay, but regardless, yeah, the hip fire on sniper thing's crazy. I don't know. This is not a good debunk though. I don't know what this guy's talking about. You don't like the focus when aiming. What's wrong? And when you ping something on the map is not highlight enough, you want a firework. Okay. I don't think this is this guy's English is not this dude's first language. This is kind of hilarious though. It's like, what do you want, a firework for the ping? Nah, I think pings are fine. I honestly think the person was just a little bit annoyed at the ping system because it's simple, but I think it gets the job done. The attention moment show you where the enemies will come from, and don't stay up more than 5 to 7 seconds. Nah, it's about 5 seconds, maybe even less than. Most of the time, there's no enemies when that happened. I know you want ping stuff, but you can't. Yes, you must wait. I love how this guy just said, be patient. The only point I'm okay with, perks should be linked to loadout. Yeah, obviously, there's no argument against that. Like, I couldn't even think of one off the top of my head if I wanted to have fun to do that. Like, I genuinely can't. There's no reasons why we can't have, like, specific loadouts. Like, loadout number 1 has these perk setups. Loadout number 2 has these perk setups. I will admit, though, in the current UI, it would be a little bit weird. So, the only way I would say that, you know, this couldn't happen in the game is just it literally couldn't happen in the game because it's just weird. But I guess ultimately, like, the perks would have, like, you would need a label on the perk tab to let you know which perks you have set up, you know? Okay, this game is very fun, and I'm sure you agree with me. Graphically speaking, the story, the fights, animations, very cool. Let's see what devs are cooking for Tech Marine, and I prefer they address issues on connection problems, FPS drops, playabilities, you know. Gunstrike's not registered. Yeah, Gunstrike's not being registered is crazy. This guy has downvotes, but I think because a lot of people were kind of confused of what he was getting at with some of these. But yeah, I mean, I think there's somebody who commented about the shooting fences with sniper thing. I'm gonna read that real quick just because I don't know what they're saying. So I'll try to clarify that for you guys. We can casually walk through Kadaku bamboo, but Las Fazul can't shoot through it and even break it. Yeah, that nice gameplay feature, not a crappy flaw. I have no idea what people are getting at with this. You are shooting fences with sniper. You're shooting candles and tubes, chains. Is that what they? I'm so confused. Was there an issue? Do we need more destructibility in the game? Is that what they're trying to get at here? I don't know. When it comes to the hip fire on sniper thing, I don't really, you know, it's not very important to me. I don't understand what this guy's trying to get at here, or even the rebuttal. So I think this is time for me to end the video, I guess. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys actually are trying, like, you understand what they're talking about here, but I don't think there's really a difference to, like, things you can destroy and things you can't. I just think that's the way the game is. So if you just want more breakable stuff, I think that's a fair point to make for Space Marine 3. But I don't understand how that's connected to the snipers. I don't know. Whatever. I will admit there were some weird takes here, but there were also some good ones. So as far as quality of life, I think this is kind of like a quality of life hot take. mixture. Pretty wild. Yeah, this was pretty like mind bending in a sense, because A, I didn't know what they were talking about here, but B, like this person is genuinely upset at the attention feature and the ping features for just being, maybe a little dated, which is fair, I guess. It's not gonna destroy my enjoyment of the game, and they're definitely gonna improve that for Space Marine 3. I would assume. I would assume all systems would be improved for Space Marine 3. But hey, maybe that's why we needed to make this video. Maybe maybe it wasn't for whatever reason, and somebody needed to say it. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you guys actually have some great, quality of life suggestions for Space Marine 3, or even for Siege mode at the moment. Biovore nerf. Maybe they need to limit the amount of Biovores, but I haven't seen more than like 4 or 5, and I'd have a hard time justifying like only 3 Biovores allowed on the map. I mean, obviously, if that happened, Biovores probably deserved it, but I'm just saying this sounds like you're kind of watering down Siege mode a little bit too much, you know what I mean? But yeah, let me know in the comments how you guys feel about this, and thanks for watching.